Hangzhou, once served as the capital of China's southern Song dynasty in the 12th century, was traditionally hailed as one of the most beautiful cities in China. Hundreds of years later, the city still attracts millions of tourists every year and is nowadays the home for many high-profile tech firms, such as e-commerce giant Alibaba. Without a doubt, this has set an example of how China's rich history can still live on in a modern city with an innovative economy. While Hangzhou may not have as large an expat population as some other Chinese cities, it has drawn many, especially those working in the tech and commerce sectors, to work and live here, and thus blend into the city's diverse and multicultural atmosphere.
I would say, all expats have their stories, So my story was that I enjoyed being in Hangzhou. I feel it's my home. Same, I call myself Xin Hangzhou Ren.
Meet Rajni Aggarwal, who refers to herself as a Xin Hangzhou Ren, literally meaning the new Hangzhou local.
Yeah, my name is Rajni. I am Indian living in Hangzhou for more than 20 years now. I am one of the few expats who saw Hangzhou changing, The Xin Hangzhou Ren word only comes when you actually love the city, when you love the country. I'm happy to be here. Yeah.
Sitting in the Indian restaurant that she runs and co-owns here in Hangzhou, Rajni talks like a local and chats with me about what it's like for her to make a living here. Though geographically speaking, we're just a few kilometers away from the Xixi National Wetland Park, which is a Hangzhou-based natural scenery rich in cultural heritage thousands of years old, it almost strikes me as if I have, instead, relocated to a chic restaurant in New Delhi with the smell of delicious spices and Indian-style music weaving through the air. And Rajni, dressing up in a full pink and golden sari, also wears a bindi in between her eyebrows, a decorative red mark on the forehead that couldn't be more iconic for Hindu ladies. But unlike a stereotypical Bollywood movie star image that you might expect of her, Rajni actually keeps a short and clean-cut hairstyle with a brisk and spirited look upon her warm and glowing smile.
I left India in 2001 and since 2005 I'm in Hangzhou, but I started traveling to Hangzhou I think in 2002. I have a relationship with Hangzhou,
So it becomes clear that after nearly 20 years, almost half of her lifetime spent in this city, Rajni's bond with Hangzhou has become part of her identity now. This only leads to my next question, which is a big why. Why did she want to settle down in Hangzhou? And what motivated her to stick around? So she begins by sharing with me that what kicked off this whole journey for her was actually a job opportunity.
Me and my husband, we both are textile engineers. So he got a job with a Hong Kong-based company. Then when we were in Hong Kong, then we started our own business. We were doing a lot of silk from Hangzhou. We have our own textile trading company. So the idea, the first point to move from India to China was a job. But since 2005 until 2023, we are living in Hangzhou because we have our own business here. Yeah.
And with their textile business growing steadily year by year, Rajni and her husband decided to settle down in Hangzhou in the mid-2000s and soon built a happy family here.
We have 2 children now. So my daughter is born in Hong Kong. Now she's big, like 19 years old. She studies in University of Hong Kong. So I have a son who is 14 years old, but my son is born in Shanghai. Because when he was born in 2009, Hangzhou, there were not many international hospitals where I felt, the doctor can speak English. And so I chose Shanghai at that time, but not anymore. Now no need to go to Shanghai, no need to go to Hong Kong. Now everything is in Hangzhou.
Rajni confesses that 20 years ago, going to see the doctors here was not really a pleasant experience for her.
Of course, the language was a big barrier. Of course, I knew how to speak Chinese, but that time there was no WeChat translator. So even the difficult things, if you are trying to explain in Chinese, it was not that easy. So that part was difficult when I felt like, oh my God, I'm lost. I want some doctor who can speak English, and I don't have to go to Shanghai, or I don't have to go to Hong Kong. I wanted somebody here. That time was a little difficult, but not difficult anymore. I think now it's easy.
So, when did you feel things in Hangzhou had changed for the better?
When did I feel Hangzhou changed? I would say since 2010, since 2010, I started to feel the changes. Yes, when G20 happened in 2016. Oh, since then, I think Hangzhou is on a rush. Yeah. And now Asian Games, of course. We have all the big hospitals, have the international clinics, everybody speaks English. So it's not what it was 20 years back.
Hearing this, I just can't help but nodding and agreeing. Around the same time Rajni mentions, China's high-speed railway started to run between Shanghai and Hangzhou, connecting this growing city with many more destinations outside Zhejiang province. This has certainly helped boosting local tourism and economic development ever since 2009 to 2010. Then, with the G20 summit hosted here in 2016, plus the ongoing 19th Asian Games, combining the city's rich history with its status as a bustling economic center, Hangzhou has solidified its position as one of China's most prosperous cities. But before our chat continues, a cup of ginger tea is served by an Indian gentleman, whom I later learn is the manager of this restaurant. Joyfully interrupted by the fragrance of the traditional Indian milk tea, therefore, I look around and again indulge in the exotic charm of this restaurant that we're sitting in. It's only around 5 p.m. in the afternoon, and it's still too early for the evening peak hour for most restaurants in China. But in here, almost a third of the seats are already occupied and accommodating customers. Later, I learned that while Rajni develops her life and business in Hangzhou, she also encounters other expats making a living here. And of course, with her warm and welcoming nature, it's been very easy for her to make new friends. Not surprisingly, she tells me this restaurant is one of the many fruitful outcomes of a friendship she has developed here in Hangzhou. Together with another Indian lady whom she met and befriended when she first came here, the two of them started their home kitchen-style diner in 2016, which was the predecessor of this restaurant today. There, the two ladies worked their magic as Indian moms and wives and put passion into sharing their best traditional dishes with people from a different nation.
We are Indian. So every time we wanted to go out to eat Indian food, of course there were Indian restaurants, but something was missing, And being Indian moms, Indian women, we felt that there's a need of a good Indian restaurant which is fresh, which is bringing, your taste from your home, So it's more like our own recipes, what our moms used to cook and what we are cooking for our children.
She says they started off by renting a tiny place in Hangzhou's Binjiang district, a developing part of this city back when it wasn't super expensive to run businesses there.
So first restaurant, it was very, very small restaurant. We only had 2 chefs, only 12-seater. So if there's a rush, my friend used to go in the kitchen to help the chef, and I used to be outside helping to serve, because I think I'm very good with the numbers and very good with the computers. So it was like, let's do the hard work in the beginning. Let's people know that this is a restaurant where you are welcome and you will get good food, rather than making it very big and very lavish.
For Rajni and her friend, the idea was rather clear ever since the beginning. Make it simple and full of love. She says this mindset cut out a lot of stress in maintaining the restaurant during its infancy stage, as both of them intended to keep costs low. And besides the homemade Indian cuisine, the two ladies also studied traditional Middle Eastern recipes and mixed some of their favorite dishes into their Indian restaurant's daily menu. Looking around, I can't help but notice that most of the customers around us are actually Chinese. And the Indian manager, along with a Chinese waitress who's mainly serving at the other side of the restaurant, are walking around swiftly, providing service here and there. I mean, everyone seems to be so well blended into each other's tasks. And regardless of their skin tones or cultural backgrounds, they're all working together to maintain this sense of harmoniousness that's happening right here in this restaurant. Rajni says this is a highlight of what they do here, which is to share good food and, more importantly, to bridge connections between different cultures.
The idea is why not to share the fresh food, good recipes, because this is our own recipes, with people here, and I also believe very, very strongly that we make friends, we share deep conversation when we are eating together. So I would say sharing Indian culture with people in Hangzhou, but more than culture is like a place to build relationship, to build friendships. Yeah. Because also important now, because ultimately we are not just serving to Indians, we are making a connection with the local community. So when somebody comes who doesn't know the Indian words or who doesn't know English, definitely we need our Amy. She's such a good help. Yeah. Amy, yeah.
Waving to the waitress at the other side, Rajni introduces Amy to me, a quiet Chinese lady who blushes quite a bit as we briefly chat about her work here.
I've been working here for 3 years. I think Miss Rajni is a very kind person. She's like a mother to the whole crew. So I gradually adapted to my work here and grew fond of it. Now I'm mainly catering tables out here and sometimes help out inside the kitchen too.
Amy says that her communication with Rajni is mainly in Chinese, but she does now understand some basic Indian words as well.
Yeah, I could speak just a little bit, like Namaste is what we say to greet each other in the morning. And I also know a few simple words for referring to old people like Daddy and Dada, which are ways to refer to someone's grandma and grandpa.
But before we could continue on, Amy is summoned to help with carrying a tray from the kitchen. So Rajni suggests that I talk to the Indian manager at the cashier desk.
Yes. He's a very, very good guy and very, very good at his work. Yeah.
May I ask, what's your name, sir?
My name is Raj. Working here 5 years almost. Yeah.
His name, Raj, is actually a shortened version of his full name to make it easier for people to call him for help. Similar to Rajni, Raj has also spent years in China, working and traveling in different cities.
In China, almost 11 years. 5 years in Hangzhou, 4 years in Beijing, and a few months in Chengdu, Ningbo, Shanghai, and Shenzhen, Guangzhou, Zhongshan, Zhuhai, is many places.
I'm like, wow, this guy has been to more Chinese cities than many Chinese people ever have. And no wonder he can now cater to the customers in fluent Chinese.
Now I am used to is many Chinese people, they are just talking with me and they say, you look like an Indian, but if you're talking with Chinese, so it's talking like a Chinese people, because some Chinese people, they're still little bit afraid to talk with foreigners because they're thinking English is not good. So when I'm talking in Chinese language, it's very easily to communicate with them.
And do you see yourself keep on working here with Miss Rajni?
Yeah, of course I will working with her.
We are not letting him go.
Thank you so much.
And in the end, we kind of have to let Amy and Raj get back to work, as the restaurant is now getting crowded with Chinese and Indian customers. In the meantime, Rajni and I continued on with our chat about how she and her good friend put their restaurant together piece by piece. Both of them are self-made entrepreneurs who now run the businesses based upon their close bond with each other. To them, attending to the businesses is now part of their lives, and the restaurant crew are just like family, combining members from both countries.
Our business is a part of us, our friendship is the main part. So I think we are very dependent on each other. We live also in the same area. So most of the time we come together in the morning, we stay here for 2-3 hours, then we go back, then we come back like after 1 day or 2 days. So it's more like togetherness. So the team, the chefs, everybody's Indian, but the chef who helps them is Chinese. And now the Chinese people also know all the Indian names.
Among their restaurant staff, Rajni says 60% are Indian, since they would still require chefs from home to cook the main dishes while teaching their recipes to the Chinese chef. But these days, it feels no difference for her to work with people from either country, now that she has a better Chinese vocabulary and convenient translation tools at hand. And of course, their efforts have paid off. Just a few weeks ago, before I come for a visit, their restaurant was recognized as one of the top 10 recommended restaurants in 2023 by the Commerce Bureau of Hangzhou Binjiang District. Both Rajni and her friend, however, choose not to let the title go into their heads. Instead, in a celebrative post on social media, Rajni types that she is humbled by this recognition and intends to remain passionate about sharing this culinary journey with people from all four corners of the world. Rajni is an early riser. She wakes at around 5:30 a.m. every morning and sometimes has morning video chats with groups of young people from around the globe. Accredited by the International Coaching Federation, she is constantly hosting online educational sessions or participating in public talks that encourage self-growth and self-love among the younger generations.
So I really want to talk to more people, more young generation, and discuss with them that if they have something which is bothering them, like just be there with them, just listen to them. So when we know who we are, I think life becomes little easy, and sometimes you just need somebody who can guide you to find you.
And while she chats with young people, Rajni tends to be very open about her own roller coaster-like journey. Growing up in a small city in India, moving to a completely new country in her 20s, then strive to make a living there. And then there are moments of loss, pain, sorrow of being so far away from home, and all that made her who she is today. And now, Rajni says it's time for her to share the lessons with whomsoever that's experiencing the same.
That was the time I was connecting more to myself and more to my dreams, what I wanted to do, and the dream to share my knowledge or to share my experience or to share my journey. That came out very, very strongly. I felt like that I had lived long life where I was living for myself. Now the time is, let me share my life with others.
To Rajni, education and social welfare are heartfelt topics outside of her daily works. In the meantime, she and her business partners have also been actively raising funds for several Hangzhou-based charity events over the past few years. Together, they've been hosting annual charity galas that support education in orphanages as well as welfare for the migrant workers. Of course, it's natural for people to spend money on things that bring them happiness. And out of the very same reason, Rajni, along with many good friends, colleagues, and business partners around her, hope that their efforts will encourage more to share some love, kindness, and compassion to those that need it the most.
So the idea is share this money with people who need it more. Sometimes we all have money, but we do not even know whom to sponsor, where to give that money. So this time we are supporting the education as well as the migrant workers, which is something very close to me, and I'm happy. I feel I am contributing something to people's life,
Turning 50 next year, Rajni says she is at a phase of her life where she wants to continue staying connected and give back to the local community as a new Hangzhou local.
More importantly, I felt it home. I felt it safe. I always say I call myself now Xin Hangzhou Ren. I have stayed in Hangzhou since 2005 to 2023. So the journey have been beautiful, fulfilling, loving. See, I said everybody has stories. I am lucky that I am the chosen one to share my story with you.
With that, we conclude this episode of Footprints. I'm Yu Shan. Thanks for listening. If you're interested in hearing more about the lives of ordinary but incredible people in China, follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Just key in Footprints, and you can find more stories anytime, anywhere. We'll see you next time.